the first three, and again, listen to me. I'm trying to emphasize to you, this is a high school test. All right, this is defining if you get into Florida or something. All right, again, I'm shocked at how simple it is. Absolutely shocked. And I think you as 8th graders can do probably half of the test. All right, which would put you above the national norm. All right, which is very surprising. All right, but again, these are good questions, good review for us, because it's just not memorizing a chapter and repeating information. That's why I think this is important. Are you a thinker or not? That's what it's coming down to. All right? I don't want you memorizing. Understand what we're doing here. If you're not sure, let me know. All right? Number one, I mean, listen, if it took you more than, a second to realize that was the answer, we're in a little bit of trouble. Right? Which means you don't remember anything about graphing a line. First of all, x equals 1 and y equals 1, those are verticals and horizontals. So those were out. Does everybody agree? Yeah. Right? So just to make sure you're hearing me, x equals 1 would be a vertical line, y equals 1 would be a horizontal line. Y equals x would go through the origin. Right? So 1 was the y-intercept. Look up here, the y-intercept was 1. So the only possible answer is what? D. The only possible answer is D. Now, if what I'm saying isn't making sense, now's the time to speak up. Because I want your ERB scores to even be greater this year than they were last year, which is going to be hard to improve. But it's possible. All right?
Can you explain it without process of elimination?
Yes, the y-intercept is 1 and the slope is 1. Therefore, the answer is D. But just because I knew the y-intercept was 1, I didn't have to go any further. And that's one of the most important techniques I can show you about taking a standardized test. And the reason why I'm trying to put some emphasis on this now is because most of you want to get an advanced degree. You want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be something that's going to require an advanced degree. So you have to take standardized tests, all right, in anything that is in some type of profession. All right, there's standardized tests, and you have to meet a mark or you're not in. All right, so that's why this is super important. And the techniques that I'm showing you about eliminating answers is very important. All right, because here you have a 25% chance of getting it right. So if you know the answer is in A or B, now you're into a flip of a coin to get it right, which is a lot better than if you had no idea. All right. That's right.
Okay.
Right? You just forgot that y equals mx plus b?
Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. Now, number 2, I was a little upset. Some of you are trying to make this really difficult. It says that the circumference is 36. Come on now.
36 divided by 4.
That's the answer. 36 divided by 4. And I'm not sure what some of you are thinking. I'm walking around the room and some of you are putting circumference equals 2 pi r and you're doing something tricky. The point is, when you take a standardized test, it's not formulaic as much as it is thinking about it. All right? I honestly did not think that was hard at all. All right? You should be able to look up there and say AC is a fourth of the circle. All right? But again, imagine, and I'm going to keep pointing this out, this is high school test. All right? Now, let's take a look at number 3. Again, the reason why this was hard is because kids did not see that they should have divided by what first? 4. So when you divide by 4, you should have on your paper x squared minus 2x minus 3 equals 0. Then I watched some of you struggle with factoring. All right? Which is okay. Let's practice. X times x, 3 and 1. The only way I can make -2 is if it's -3 and +1. Remember our little smiley faces. So x had to be what? 3, or x had to be -1. All right? So my correct answer is, what is it?
B.
Correct answer is B. All right? So I'm pretty happy with that. All right, now let's scroll down because some things I think we're better at we can do. Yes. Everybody can do these 4. So I'm going to stop it for a minute. Give you another 5. You probably look at it and check yours. Yours is next. All right, here we go. Okay, So now, number 4, I need your attention on number 4 because it's been a while since we've talked about quadratics. It's been a while since we've talked about solutions. So I need your attention on this. This is definitely a problem that will help you guys, for those of you guys who are taking your entrance exams into Jesuit or Tampa Prep or wherever else you're going. So let's look at this real quick. It says, which of the following is an example of a function whose graph in the xy plane has no x-intercept? If it has no x-intercept, that means it doesn't cross the x-axis. Everybody with me on that? Everybody understand the terminology there? It doesn't cross the x-axis. All right? So if it doesn't cross the x-axis, it doesn't have a 0. Listen to what I'm saying. Just stop talking and listen. If it doesn't cross the x-axis, it doesn't have a 0. All right? There's lots of names for the x-intercept. The x-intercept, crossing the x-intercept is a solution. It can also be said it's just the x-intercept, all right? Or it could be called the zeros. Now, why do they call it the zeros? The zeros is because you take the function and you set it equal to 0. And if you know the x-intercept, all points on the x-intercept have a y value of 0. That's what I need to tell you, all right? All points on the x-intercept, the y has a 0. That's why they call it a 0. So let's look at number 4. It says, a linear function whose rate of change is not 0. So look right here, guys. This right here, line, has a slope of what? 0. So if it doesn't have a slope of 0, it would have to look something like this. It would have to be something like this. Do you agree? Was that going to cross? Yes. So boom, A is out. A quadratic function with real zeros. That means if it has a real 0, it's going to cross the x-axis. So that is not a what? That's not it. A quadratic with no real function means doesn't cross the x-axis. So the correct answer is C. Now, remember what I'm telling you. The most important thing right now is I'm really trying to help you think. And I'm also, hey, you got to listen when I'm talking. And I'm also trying to help you understand math better and think better about math. All right, that's what we're into. All right, what?
Doesn't the y-intercept have no 0 as well? It doesn't cross.
If something doesn't have a y-intercept, it can have an x-intercept. Okay?
Yeah, but you said the x-intercept had
a y value of 0.
Yeah, and that's why they call it 0. But
That's
wouldn't
right.
the y-intercept have an x value of 0?
Thank you very much.
Aren't they just both called 0?
No, they're not. Or I would have said that.
Okay.
If you cross the y-axis, it has nothing to do with whether it's a solution or not.
Okay.
A solution is when the x is 0, or when the y is 0.
Okay.
All right? So now, again, number 5, I was really mad at some of you because you're just putting down numbers. I'm mad at you because if you don't know, this is a problem. You can just plug the numbers in. It says x is 9. So the square root of k plus 2 minus 9 equals 0. Come on now. If I plug in 7, 7 plus 2 is 9. The square root of 9 minus 9 is not 0. Is that right?
Yeah, you're right. I got it.
Yes. So that's out. 16 plus 2 is 18. The square root of 18 minus 9 is not 0.
That's 79.
Thank you. I thought you had an adjustment back there.
That one right.
79 plus 2 is 81. Square root of 81 is 9. 9 minus 9 is 0.
2 in a row.
Hey, listen, is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Listen, hey, guys, what do you need?
Oh,
Grace.
going
The last
forward.
All right, hurry up, Grace, hurry up. All right, you're missing important information. All right, now number 6. Thank goodness they didn't call Carter for this one.
Yeah.
You got this one wrong?
Yep.
Thank goodness. You're not getting that one done.
Some. Hey, some means you're adding them up.
I know. I just forgot the
Now look, again, here's what I'm trying to tell everybody. You see, on standardized tests, because there's random information, most of the time, kids, for whatever reason, aren't thinking properly. You're just adding them together. A squared is the only term, so ace with a
The 1 and 1 cancel.
the a squared can't be added to anything else. So I know the answer has to have an a squared in it. So I know right off the bat it's not D, and I know it's not B. Now, because a squared and a can't be added together, I know the only answer has to have a squared. And the only one with a squared is what? A.
I got it.
Cool.
All right, that wasn't that bad. All right. Now, I want to take a look at number 7. Stop talking. Number 7. Listen now for question number 7. All right, it says, Jackie has 2 summer jobs. She works as a tutor, which pays $12 per hour, and she works as a lifeguard, which pays $9.50 an hour. Now, if you want, they're suggesting use X and Y. All right? So if X is the tutor and Y is the lifeguard, she's going to make $12 as a tutor, $12 per hour, and $9.50 per hour. Now, as I've learned, writing things down makes a big difference in your grade and your mark. It really does. Don't try to keep things, even though you're smart, don't try to keep things all in your brain and try to keep it organized. You'll improve tremendously if you just write some notes down as we're going. All right? Now, she can work no more than 20 hours per week. So X and Y represent hours. So if she can work no more than 20 hours, that means she has to work less than or equal to 20. So less than or equal to. So X plus Y is greater than 20. A is out. So is D. Now, like I'm saying, I'm embarrassed for some high school kids. I mean, I don't understand this. How do you not know that? And then you want to make what?
At least 220.
You want to make at least 220, which means you have to be greater than or equal to 220. So without much thought, I know the answer had to be what?
C.
I know the answer had to be C. All right? Now what I'm trying to ask you guys is, as 8th graders, you should be okay with 1 through 7. That should, and the ones that you missed, I know, is careless mistake. That's why we're working on it. So in 3 weeks, when you take your ERBs, you'll be fresh. You're not going to make the dumb mistakes. All right? Now, let me see what 8, 9, and 10 is. Yes, definitely. 8, 9, and 10, and then we'll start on our Algebra 2. 8, 9, and 10. Let's go with Algebra 2 work, because there's a lot of work here. Now, from this point forward, what we're trying to do now is I'm just trying to help you with your mental math. You can see up here fractions. I'm going to try to go down and do some odd problems with you, and then you're probably going to be responsible for doing the odds. Now, again, I'm simply trying to prepare you for your standardized test and get you ready now to sit next year in an Algebra 2 class. I want you guys to be masters of order of operation without a calculator. And some of you, I question that because you say things to me sometimes that indicate that you're not 100% sure on order of operation, which we've been doing, honestly, since 5th grade. All right? But you rely on a calculator too much. All right? So that's exactly right. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to, together, mentally, go down and do these problems. All right? Mentally. All right? So here we go. Everybody, and again, we're going to do the odds.
-9 minus 11, negative.
Well, hold on a minute. What are we doing for number 1?
You do parentheses
Please listen. Since Ashton wants to be first here, we'll go ahead and let him do it. Go.
4 minus 7 first, and then you do that's -3. Then you can go 3 times -3, which is -9. Then -9 minus 11
Is
-20.
beautiful. -20. All right, I see kids distributing here. No, that's a mistake. It'll be the same answer, just takes longer. All right, it just takes longer.
I'll do the next.
All right,
All right,
go ahead.
so
Shh.
You gotta do the parentheses first.
Go.
So 3 times -3 times 4 is -12. Then you gotta do divided by 2.
Just hold on. Just tell me the we'll follow you if you just tell me the next answer. See what I'm saying?
All right, -2 divided by 2 is -6. 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 minus 6 is -2.
Anybody else have an issue with that? Now, I want to say something to you up here real quick about PEMDAS, so please listen. Don't think, like, can I do 1 plus 2 first?
No.
Yes,
can, but
you
not-
can. Listen. Yes, you can do 1 plus 2 first. All right. Well, then you're saying, well, we didn't do PEMDAS. Well, PEMDAS has to do with when there is a combination. All right, when there is a combination. All right, so in that case, you would do 3 times 4, and then you would divide it by 2. Remember we said division does not come after what? Multiplication. You always read from what? Left to right, which is a big mistake kids make. All right, you always do multiplication division in order from left to right. Because hopefully you can see if I did 4 divided by 2 first, well,
Get the same.
you're going to get the same answer, but it doesn't always work out that way. It just happens to be that the 2 is involved. All right, so here I would say 3 times 4 is 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So 3 minus 6. All right, perfect. Ava, you're up. I want you to do number 20.
Okay, so first, number 2. 5 squared, 25.
Good.
Times 3 is 75.
That's exactly what we mean right there. You can do it if that's in a block, do it together. Perfect. Next.
And then 5 minus 3 is 2. 25 minus 2 is 10.
Exactly.
Plus 75.
All right, guys. Good. All right. Trey, let's do 7 together. Now they're trying to mess you up because you see all the brackets and the parentheses. They're all work from the innermost. All right. So Trey, what am I doing first?
17 minus 11 is 6. And 36, or 34 minus 6 is 28. 5 minus 28 is negative 23. And 18 minus negative 23.
Is she one?
Let him answer, especially when you're telling the wrong answer. 41. Just be quiet. When I call on somebody, I want them to do it. I want to hear. All right. Owen.
Alright, so we have to do the 4 squared is 16. And then,
Yes.
16. And then 6 minus 16 is negative 10, but it's positive.
Oh, no, that's not absolute value.
Those are
Shh. Absolute values, listen, that's a good point, would be something like that.
Oh.
All right, those are absolute values. You
So
hear me?
it's just negative 10 on top of the negative 10.
Yes, better. Good. All right. Hayden, you're up.
13 minus negative 24.
No, stop there now for a second because I want to show you something. This is super
Divided by
important.
2.
This is super important. See, some people actually multiply 24 times 8. No. What could we do first?
You can cross them out.
Divide. So I'm saying you want to divide first when it's a fraction because the numbers stay small. All right? So now what's the final answer?
Times 4.
Yes.
160.
What are you talking about? Seriously.
100.
24 divided by 6 is what?
Oh, 4.
4 times 8.
32.
It's not funny to me, girl, at all. Not even a little bit.
Why is the 8
Shh, hold up.
Why didn't you just simplify 8 and 6? Like I know you can simplify negative.
Because 24 divided by 6 is what? Agreed? You can do divide by 2 and then divide by 3, but in the meantime, I'm sleeping.
Why does the 8 not have to be divided by 6?
Because it's multiplication, not addition.
Okay.
If it was 8 plus 24 divided by 6, we would divide everything by 2.
Okay.
You wouldn't be able to do 24 divided by 6. Very important, guys. I mean it. I want to help you be experts at numbers. So I want to hear the questions. But I also want you to listen to what I'm saying. If I tell you something's easier, I promise you it's easier. And that's how you should be thinking about numbers. All right? So now we have obnoxious. We have fractions. All right? So we're doing some fractions now. Everybody's got to practice that. And I'm expecting you to be good mental math with fractions also. All right. Sam, you're up. What are we doing?
3, well, first you have to plug in all those.
Yes, thank you. Let's
3
go.
over 4 times negative 8 squared.
Well, let's just say what that is.
Oh, that's.
Yes. Positive 64, right?
Oh, right.
You're squaring it.
Right.
All right?
Minus 3.
Okay, so now what am I going to do?
So now you gotta do 3 over 4 times 64. And I'm not very good at
That's okay. Now listen to me. Let me show you something. Very simple. Whenever you divide by 4, listen to me, divide by 2 twice. All right? So 64 divided by 4. 64 divided by 2 is 32. 32 divided by 2 is, there you go, 16. All right? So now we're doing 16 times 3. 16 times 3 is?
48.
Now, again, to help you with your mental math, you're going 3 times 10 and 3 times 6. 30 plus 18 is 48, right? I want him to answer. I don't want anybody else to answer. And 48 minus 3 is 45. Okay, I'm listening to you. Go.
Sorry, I was confused why you did 16 times 3, but now I see that you were just doing the fraction instead of like. I thought
Thank
you
you.
were gonna change the-
Correct. All right. So, Grace, you're up. Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute. This thing is annoying me for some reason. All right, do it the easy way. All right, 15.
That'd be 48 over -2.
Because A times B.
Yeah, it is.
Hold on a minute. Aren't we doing A times B? We're doing
Oh,
15,
8 times
right?
B, that'd be
No. Just, I want you to say, I want you to relax, and I want you to tell me 3/4 times -8 divided by what?
-8 divided by -2
Plus,
plus 9.
that's what I would do it. All right, now, for those of you guys who had some issues with our fractions last time, now it should be much easier. So, Grace, what's 3/4 of -8?
6.
-6. Thank you very much, girl. And then what?
That would be divided by over 2. So that would be 3 -2.
No.
Positive.
Why?
Because 2 -2.
Yes, come on, girl. So your final answer is what?
12.
Yes, good. All right, pretty happy with that. All right, Chancellor. All right, tell me about B and B.
B would be -8 minus 3 times 1/3. All that.
Now look, right there. Would I even write down on my paper 3 times 1/3? No, because we know 1/3 is 1. So now here's where I'm trying to help you. Hey, stop talking. So if you don't know why, let me know. All right, and then times what?
1/3 squared.
Which is 1 squared,
1 squared.
3 squared. How do you not know that? Times 1/9. Agreed? Come on, 1/3 squared, just squaring the numerator and the denominator. All right, so look at that and tell me your final answer.
That is 1.
Close. -1. All right, again, I'm telling you, on a multiple choice test, they would have the answer probably 1 and -1. Be careful, it's important. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, come on,
Okay.
no messing around.
So, C.
-B is what?
Negative B would be
8, thank you. Open parentheses, what's A?
A is.
Shh, I don't. Plus, what's C minus D?
Negative. No. -5.
-5, thank you very much. And then that would be squared, agreed? Right, so now we end up with 8 times 3/4 plus 25, do you agree? Now, in my opinion, hear me out real quick, guys. Instead of going 3/4 plus 25, I think it's better now to distribute so I can get rid of the fraction. Is everybody hearing me? Right, so make sure you understand what I'm saying now. So what's 8 times 3/4? No, I want Grant, or 6. And then now, what's 8 times 25? You have 8 quarters in your pocket. How much money?
200.
There you go. Final answer,
206.
206. Good. That's how it should be done. All right. Next, Mr. Butler.
So
Shh. which is, and then negative 72 times, so we did negative 72 times negative 2, which is positive 144. Is that what you said? Am I right? What is the answer? It's negative 144. So now here's what, listen, I don't want you to be nervous. I just want you to make sure you know. If you don't know, you're not sure, you ask. All right? Is 144 okay or not?
Yes.
All right? Now, 1 over g just means it's the what? Reciprocal. You hear what I'm saying? Listen to me. 1 over g means it's the reciprocal of g. Shh, no one's talking. So it'd be what? 3. Perfect. So it's 144 minus 3. You understand that? I don't want you writing on your paper 1 divided by 1/3. I want you to say 1 over a variable just means it's the what? Reciprocal. So your final answer is what? 141. Beautiful. All right. Right now, I'm not interested in the word problems right now. All right. Okay. So now I'm not sure how much time I have, but the properties or the things that people miss the most on standardized tests sometimes are just the definitions. So I need to review with you the definitions of the sets of numbers. All right. So the sets of numbers will be real easy. They're whole numbers, right? Well, before whole numbers, there's natural numbers. So whole numbers, natural. Do you remember what natural starts with? 1, 2, 3, ... The only difference between a whole number and a natural number is 0. Thank you very much. Right? And then after natural whole comes integers. And integers are what?
Negative.
-2, -1, 0, 1, ... All right? So integers, remember, are positive and negative counting numbers, right? Then after integers, we say we have rational.
That's like for radicals, right?
Rational is any number that can be written as a fraction. All right? That's literally what a rational means. Any number that can be written as a fraction.
So isn't every
Just listen. Any number that can be written as a fraction is rational. All right? I will give you an example of a what? Irrational. And an irrational means what?
radical?
It can't be written.
And not anything that can't be written.
Exactly. Any number that cannot be written as a fraction. All right? I'm going to give you the example in a minute. Just listen to what I'm saying. I want you to stick in your head. Rational. How do we know it's easy? Because ratio is a what? Fraction. So it can be written as a ratio of two numbers, then, or two integers. It's rational. If it can't be written as a ratio of two integers, then it's called irrational. Famous irrational numbers that you should know are pi. E will be something you will learn a lot next year. And then we would also say the square root of 3 or square root of 21. Square root of any non-perfect square is considered irrational. Square root of 9 is considered rational. Is everybody hearing me? All right, what?
Let's say pi is like 22 over 7.
No, it's approximation. Just like they say pi is 3.14. It's not.
Oh, okay.
It's an approximation. They use 22 over 7 because that's close to 3.14159, whatever. Okay? So then we have what's referred to as the real number system. All right? And every single number that you guys know about is considered a what? Is considered a real. And then next year in your Algebra 2 class, they will talk to you and they will teach you about imaginary numbers. All right? Very simple concept.
Is that like negative?
Yes. An imaginary number, for those of you guys who are interested, an imaginary would be, for example, the square root of -1. The square root of -1 is considered an imaginary number. It's kind of important, but you'll learn that in college if you're going to be some type of electrical engineer. All right? So, again, your job right now is to look at these problems and tell me just the odds of Grace. Are you hearing me, Grace? All right? Your job is to tell me exactly what letter corresponds. All right, so 600 or 6,425 is a what? Is a natural. It's whole. It's an integer, and it is what? And it is rational.
And real.
Yeah, you don't need to do real.
All
right, because everything is a real number.
Well, what about the orange?
There are no imaginary numbers on here. All right. Now, the next thing that is important is the properties. All right, the next thing that is important is the properties. All right, so here we go. Let's try to review the properties real quick, and then it'll bring us to the end of the day, probably. All right, so we have the commutative.
Oh my God, that's right.
All right, listen. I'm not. Look, I've got to stay focused now because I'm trying to get this through, plus help you with your RVs. Some of you are being distracted. Now, does anybody remember the commutative property?
Oh,
A plus
yes.
A plus B equals C is
No, A plus B equals B plus A.
Is it really commutative?
Yes.
you just switch them.
I thought it was commutative.
Is it only with
The commutative property.
A plus B equals B plus
addition?
A plus B is equal to B plus A. That's when the order changes. You can also have AB equals B times A. That would be an example of commutative property. All right. Now, we also have the associative property. So let's talk about the associative property. Hold on a second. The associative property deals with A plus B plus C is equal to A plus B plus C. Now remember the grouping symbols it has to do with. All right. So the associative property could also be ABC is equal to ABC. In other words, they're trying to tell you it doesn't matter what order that you multiply or what order that you add, the answers will always be what? The same. All right? Now, we also have referred to as the identities. The identities. There is an additive identity, which just means when you add what?
Zero.
When you add 0, you get the same thing. There's a multiplicative identity when you multiply by 1, or A times 1 equals A. All right? Then we have inverses. We have inverses. And when we do inverses, it would be A times 1 over A, or A plus negative A. All right? Inverses are what cancels out.
It makes 0.
Inverse is what cancels out. So how do you undo multiplication? You divide. How do you undo addition? You subtract. Those are what's called the inverses. All right? Now, the other one that everybody's familiar with is the distributive property. All right, hold up. So the distributive property would be A times B plus C is equal to AB plus AC. Is everybody good on that? I'm going to tell you right now. All right, the distributive property is A times B plus C. We've done that for a long time, so that's not going to be the issue.
Oh, yeah.
Your job is the odds. I don't really care about 31 and 32. So your odds on this page, the odds on this page. No, we already did the odds on that page. So no, just do the odds on this page. And then what I want you to do is the SAT problems, which is super important. I don't want to be mad. So I'm telling you, do the SAT problems. Think about it. If you don't know how to do the SATs, come in the morning and let me show you. Good job, for the most part.